Hey everybody, Rob here today. What we have going on is we're going to do a test between the offset smoker and the electric. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to compare, here's a master built electric smoker, and then I'm going to compare an Oklahoma Joe. And what we're going to do is really just compare side by side how these things do, trying to maintain the same temperature using the same types of wood. So I'm just going to use oak for this, for both, and the same cut of pork shoulder. So it's one pork shoulder cut right down the center, so I can get the same piece of meat and check the bark from both different pieces. So this is going to be a straight head-to-head comparison. So let's get started. So you can see, nice equal coverage, just about the exact same. Weight-wise, these things are about dead on. So we'll see how everything looks. So what I'm going to do now is actually see how much time side by side these things take to get up to temp. So actually getting the offset up to 250, that's what I'm smoking at today, and the electric start to finish from plug-in to 250, so we can actually see side by side how long these things take. So ready or not, here we go. I am going to be looking at some Royal Oak tumbleweed starters. Now, while I'm getting this started, if you could please like, subscribe, and comment, I'd love to hear your feedback if you'd like to see more. For good measure, I might throw a couple more in. Alright, now I've got a pretty awesome looking fire. Real good. Those tumbleweeds really kicked it up. About 9 minutes in, so doing good. Looks great. Got a nice little bed of coals in there. Now what we do is just kind of lay these in. Meanwhile, now that we have the offset warming up, let's get this ready to go. Nice chips. I don't soak or anything. I just put them right in. Honestly, I think that'll be just plenty for what we're doing. Put it in. Go from there. For this run, I do have a water pan. I already put some water in. I think it's fair to have water in this one because this is how they usually run. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started, and I'll time this one as well. Alright, now what we're going to do, start the electric. Simple as plugging it in, turning it on. Alright, well, it's been 24 minutes. Starting to clean up, just about to 250. You can see that, about 210 right now, so almost there. And here we are just about right at 250 as well, and it's been about 10 minutes. So really not long at all. So I'm going to go ahead, put the meat on this one. We'll be good to go. So we've got the electric. It's been about 10 minutes. Right about 250 now. Do have my little buddy Carter here, little Superman, helping me out. We've got the offset right about 225. Smokestack's looking nice and clear. Just takes a little bit longer to get it up to 250 today. But if you look, it's burning pretty good. Now, one thing to note, I'm going to try to keep these as consistent as possible. But on an offset, you're going to have 25 plus or minus, and it's just going to happen. So we'll go and keep it at that the best we can. So I'll check back in about 20 minutes and check on temps. Alright, well folks, about 35 minutes in. The electric, like a rock, man, just stays right at that 250. The offset says about 300 up here, and my probe It's actually right about 288. You can see I have my probe on the grate, so it is actual grate level. So I'm trying to keep them about as close as I can. Things look good. It is starting to sprinkle just a little bit. Whew, nice and hot. Wood's burning good, clean. I usually run this thing wide open, but the wood's burning so good right now that I did kind of clamp it off just to keep this a little more consistent with the heat. So, see how things go. Alright. I will actually add a piece. What's in there isn't going to last too long, so just put it on and please go from here. Alright. Check out soon. Alright. Well, 47 minutes in. Electric, like a clock. 250. This one, right at 254. Pretty close. You can see it actually matches up pretty good. A little on the smokier side than I actually care for this though. So I'm gonna check this out. Alright, it's burning okay. Honestly, probably just starving for air right now. What I usually do is I like to leave the intake just straight wide open and just control with fuel. I don't actually usually start my thing off with charcoal, and I think that's what kind of threw this one off a little bit. So, right there, nice and clean. This is the way you want it. In just a couple seconds you can see, look, that just cleaned right up. My electric is actually putting off more smoke than my offset right now, which is kind of humorous. So, looks good, still staying right about 256. This one's a fuzz higher than 250, but super close. So, all in all, very close. Alright folks, we're just over an hour. So, what I'm going to do is actually check the temps and see how things look, check the meat, see if we see any changes. So right now you can see, right at 250. I'm just going to pop it open for a sec, not long. Alright, nice and steamy. Sorry about that. One thing, just by looking at this, it definitely actually does look pretty moist. Surprisingly moist. We'll come over here, see the temp, about 239. Up top we have about 250, so right in that range. Now, one thing to remember, this did get a little bit hotter in the beginning, you know, about 275, 300, for a couple minutes as it kind of got used to the flame. So we'll check on this. Actually looks pretty kind of dry on the outside. So that is one comparison I do see right from the get-go. We'll kind of look at. Also coming over here, check the flame. Looks nice, about burned out, but super hot coal bed. So we'll put that on. I'm gonna keep this open here just for a couple seconds and let this catch. It's actually my cyber key. Alright. Let's give her a couple more seconds here to get that nasty gas off. I keep it open when it initially lights up, just to make sure it's a nice, clean flame, just like that. I don't want that nasty junk going through the smoker. Alright. Put the wood back on top. Alright. So, once again, nice clean flame. This is about 220. I just had the lid open. It'll come right back up. And this, since I opened it, about 225. So, really keeping them super consistent. I'm not going to spray either of these. I'm going to let the equipment do what it does. And just let time work on it. So, we'll go from there. Alright folks, smoke's a-rolling. Like I mentioned a bit ago, you can really see the difference in quantity of smoke. The one on the right is a nice, kind of a light blue combustion, and you could just see it just pumping out the volume. The one on the left, it's actually much cleaner, I guess clear, almost a white tint to it. And I think one of the reasons why is the one on the left, the electric, has a water pan, and so I think part of it is actually the steam. If you come and you smell this, it's definitely hot, but it's a very moist kind of hot. I don't know if that makes any sense. You can tell there's a ton of water vapor in it. If you come over here, you can see right about 266, and right about almost the same, trying to keep them lockstep. This is just pumping it out, and the smell of the oak on this one is just so much stronger than the electric. You kind of see a little comparison, and so I think that smoke flavor is what you're really going for. If you look in here, kind of hard to see. It is actually a nice fire in the back. So it's about time to add maybe a little bit more wood soon. So we'll keep checking on it. Alright, well, it's been about an hour and a half. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add about a cup of chips to the electric. I put this out on the Facebook group for a little bit to see, do people usually add, don't they add? You can see this is about 260 degrees. I'm just going to crack this open for a second. Slide some chips in here. Looks and smells great. So you can see, pretty well spent. See what happens. Still looks nice and moist. Alright. Well, over here, check the electric. Sprinkling just a little bit, but we got about 240. Looks like it needs a little chunk of wood. It's coming. Give it here a couple seconds, let it catch. We'll be good to go. Alright folks, it's been about 15 minutes now since I added about a cup of oak chips. And gotta say, based on the smoke, or kind of lack thereof, even smell, I don't know if it actually does anything to add those fresh shredded chips on top. If you could comment below if you think it's even worth it, or if it's not. I guess I just don't know if it's really meaningful. Temps, still right about 250, a little bit up. This one's about 235 right now, but towards the top it's just a little bit higher. So still right about there. I just kind of stirred up the wood a little bit, so you're going to see it rise. So one of the big things with the offset is, I mean, every 10-15 minutes you're probably doing something with the wood. You know, maybe it's adding a split, maybe it's moving some stuff around. You can keep it pretty consistent, but it does take a little bit of, not a little bit, it takes a lot of babysitting. So what you might get in the joy or the actual flavor at the end, which to be determined, it definitely is a full-time job. Whereas with the electric, and even pellet, I'd assume, is pretty well, you set it, you forget it, you come back when it's done, and you're good. So there is a difference. Alright folks, about 2.5 hours in, come on out, check it out. Alright, first thing we'll do, check out temps. About right, 250, just 5 under. Here's the wood. Bottom of the grate's about 240. Top says it's a little bit on, about 275 at the top side of things. So pretty close. What I'm going to do now is actually, just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to check the temp inside with my instant read. And what I'm going to do is just kind of see how things are looking inside. I might move the meat around, just depends. I probably don't really have to. Looks good, plenty of water inside. Chips looking good, nice and smoky. Let's check it out. Alright, about 162 over here, about 171. Looks good, nice and juicy. Honestly, I'm going to leave this one right where it's at. Over here, 249 now. Doing great. Getting my gloves on. Check this out. Looks nice. Definitely not as moist as the other on the electric. But we'll check it out. About 140 over here. About 149 over here. 54. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this about 180. The heat comes back up and goes this way, so I think that'd be a nice way to set it. In my cyber cue here, it beeps if the temp hits a certain low threshold, just to kind of let you know, hey, you need to go check on this. Check it over here. Looks nice, burning good and clean. Alright, we'll be back. Alright folks, we're about 3 hours, 41 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of oak chips just to try and make it somewhat fair. You know, otherwise, I mean, this thing is just humming along. It's about 270, give or take. It's about 268. So I'm keeping them pretty close. The offset, you know, it's burning wood. Every piece of wood's a little different size. There's air. There's a lot more variables. So it really is a constant kind of tuning battle. We'll come in and check it out. Oh, buddy. That does smell good. Starting to get a nice bark on. Oh, yeah. Looks good. Let's check it out. Looks good. Tops off, still got water. Yeah, it really looks great. Let's do a quick temp check too while we're in here. 171, 176. So still right in that kind of stall range. 74. Oh yeah, looking great. All right, I'll come over here. So about 260. All right, ready for some more wood. Give that a couple moments to catch. There you go. You can see once you have a nice coal bed, this thing just really locks on. You can see right 250, 256. So just humming right along. Let's see. See you in a bit. Well, we are right around 4.5 hours since we've been cooking, and the temps about 275, give or take, 270, 275, and the offset's about 260. Not doing too bad. Looking good. Oh yeah. Get some nice bark showing up on here. These are looking great. I am going to put the rub that I used in the link below in the comments. So if you like it, let me know what you think. If there's things you'd like to change or wonder why I used them, let me know. Alright. Yeah, it looks good, burning well. Just opening this, it is super hot. You get a nice bed of ashes going, and these things they'll just carry you forward. So, nothing to add at this time. Alright folks, 6 hours it is. That's where we're at. See good old electric hanging steady right about 260. And the old Oklahoma, it's about 289, 288, give or take. So, pretty close. What I'm going to do now, it's been 6 hours. I'm going to take them off. The electric's done. They're actually super close. The main point that I'm going to compare between the two is pretty close in temp. So, let's take them off. Alright. I'm going to turn this off. Look at that. If we get our temp. It's about 196, 198. But if you look, I mean, this just falls apart. And this, just butter. So, I mean, it is truly perfectly cooked. Oh. Alright. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, man. Looks great. I'm going to do over here and plug my old Oklahoma. Go ahead, check this one out. Oh yeah, 192. The temp reads a little bit lower than the other one in some spots, but this, once again, this is butter as well. It just goes right in. So, cooked to doneness. Oh yeah, yeah. And you can see, it just comes right off the bone. So it's done. Alright, one of the last steps here. What I like to do is I actually let my meat rest. It's so important after you take it off the heat that you just wrap it up and you just let the meat rest for a bit. I'd say about 10-15 minutes is what I'm going to go with for this. Maybe 20 actually. It'll be the same for both, so it's not going to change things. But it really lets the juices inside redistribute along the whole thing. Because when you're cooking, you're pushing juices out. So it's an important part of once you get your meat off, to let it rest. Alright folks, well, we've had a nice 20-minute rest. Been cooking these pork butts for about 6 hours. Good chunk of time. So this is kind of the first look. It's nice, you've had some time, some of the juice can kind of come down, go back in the meat. So I did two today, the electric and the offset. first thing I'm going to compare is how's the bark. Just looking at it visually, which one looks better. Over here on my right, so your left, we have the electric smoker, and over here we have the offset. This one does look definitely a little bit darker, looks great, but both of them really have good color. I wouldn't say either of them lack for bark, so I'd definitely go for that. Yeah, great color, things look good. So what I'm going to do, nice and tender, I'm going to go ahead, pull off some of the money muscle right in here, and you can see it just falls apart. That's my favorite texture, honestly. Pull some of this out. That's the electric. Now I'll pull the same muscle from the offset. Just gives it up. It actually is super tender, just super hot. Let's see. Oh yeah. So there's the two different cuts. One thing we can see real quickly, and I hope you can pick that up, you can definitely see a nice smoke ring, about 1/4 of an inch for the offset, and really almost unnoticeable, maybe a real faint on the electric. So that is one difference. If I squish this up a little bit, let's kind of check this out. Stuff right there. Nice and hot. Once again, this is the money muscle part of the meat. Really comes right apart. I'm going to do a taste test of both, just to kind of see how things are, and we'll go from there. So first, I'm going to go for the electric. Wow. Great flavor, falls right apart, nice and tender, barely have to pull it at all. As far as the bark, it's an okay bark. Not a lot of flavor actually. Can't really taste like the oak, like I'd imagine, as much as I thought. But for tenderness, definitely a 10 out of 10. Over here, I'm going to try the offset. Let's look at that. Nice and dark, but definitely not burnt. That's just that candy texture to it. So I'll go for the inside. Wow. That's where it is on the flavor. I should say there's really no comparison. I mean, same seasoning, same type of wood, same piece of meat cut in half, same part of the meat, so the money muscle, but the flavor's just, there's really no comparison. So when it comes to ease of use now, with the offset, you're going to be spending time starting the fire, managing the fire, adding wood to the fire, checking for airflow, making sure it's not smoking off or not drowning out. The electric, it's really a set it and forget it. Almost just like a pellet smoker. Just put it there, it's good. When it comes to making like pulled pork sandwiches, it'd be close. If you put a little barbecue sauce on the electric, it'd be just fine. It's just kind of lacking for like the meat flavor of the wood that I would have expected. So all in all, great results. Super happy with definitely the offset. Once again, tenderness both there. But this outside on a real wood burner, That's candy. Wow. Alright. Well, there you have it. Enjoy.